Scrap your Celestial Nighthawk. This new hunter build lets you have your golden gun in about 30 seconds in most activities whilst dealing 108% more damage than normal, that being around 120,000 more damage overall than the Celestial Nighthawk, which is pretty close to the same damage my Titan Super OP overcharged melee can do. If you want to see that, it's in the playlist. It's quite funny actually, you should check it out. But we will be using a new Hunter's Exotic Star Eater Scales. Not only that, but in harder activities you'll always get half your super energy back right after using it with this build, and we'll go through all the damage numbers, where you should be using this build, how you can use it effectively in harder activities whilst underpowered, and all that good stuff. So rate, comment, sub, share, and intro. Now you might be wondering, well sure you can get your super quickly doing lost sectors, and while that is true, you can still get it fairly quick in master activities like a master nightfall, as long as you use the build correctly to the way it's been created. And we'll get to that shortly, but I will quickly mention that if you enjoy these sort of videos, I have an entire playlist of more awesome builds that I do weekly, so be sure to check that out afterwards if you want. This build is designed for season 14, but it is not limited with seasonal mods, so you can use this in any season you're playing. So firstly, here's your overview of how this build should be used, and then afterwards we'll break it down and go through the setup with all the damage numbers. Start off the build by getting 3 finishers. This will generate 6 arc elemental wells in which you'll become Charger Light 5 times. Go about your activity as normal to build up your super energy. Use Bad JuJu to speed things up if possible in most activities, and pick up all the orbs of power generated by your masterwork weapon, as they'll give you more energy with our exotic armor perk. Once you have your super, overcharge it by picking up an additional 4 orbs of power. Use your super. Throw your grenade right after to get up to half of your super energy back whilst going on a killing spree with your masterworked weapons or Bad JuJu, and picking up all the orbs of power to get your super back fast. Remember to get another 3 finishers for the charge relight stacks to prep for your next super again. If you're playing in activities like Legend Lost Sectors, Strikes, Gambit, Story Missions, Dungeons, Raids, and all those sort of things where killing one ad doesn't take half of your weapon's magazine, then getting your super will be really quick within around 30 seconds. If you're in harder activities like a Master or Grandmaster Nightfall where you may be underpowered, accept that you won't get your last half of the super as fast, but make use of your team as you now have 3 people that can generate orbs and not just you. And remember that each orb picked up gives more energy than it normally would. Ideally save and use your golden gun on tough bosses and mini bosses with a ×4 stack of the exotic though. Now the damage changes are weird, because it seems the ×4 stack does more damage than a ×8, but let's break that down anyway. So a normal golden gun will deal a max damage of 223,486 with no damage buffs. Using the same golden gun but instead using a Celestial Nighthawk, we hit a total of 307,634, but using a new boot stacked out at ×4 will hit a total of 424,621. A ×1 buff of the exotic Feast of Light will deal 15% more damage than a standard golden gun shot. A ×2 will deal 30%, ×3 45%, and ×4 will max it out at 60%. If you go beyond that, it will actually reduce the damage. If you also add in the knock 'em down buff from the subclass, you'll get an additional 30%, taking the total damage buff I believe to 108% extra damage than a normal golden gun shot, which is crazy in comparison to the Celestial Nighthawk. You have to bear in mind that the downside to using this new exotic is that you have to pick up those orbs of power when your super is full to deal that extra damage, but if you're in a team you should be generating orbs non-stop, and when you've used your super, all of those orbs are really going to help you get that golden gun back quickly, not to mention that you can get the first half of your super free using the Charger Light mods. Okay, now we have an overview of what the build can do, so let's go through the build setup. Starting with the loadout, you can use anything you want, but in activities where ads aren't too difficult to kill, you want to go with Bad JuJu to maximize your super gains, but if they are difficult, then ideally you want to go with stronger weapons, like a good special masterwork shotgun, or something that can easily kill multiple ads quickly, so you can generate orbs to overcharge your super later on. Or if you don't have your super, you'll get your super faster using those orbs. Either way, every orb generated is going to be the most valuable thing for you with this build, but prioritize the activity's weapon requirements to suit the match game shields and champions if you're going into Master Nightfalls for example. For the subclass we are using a Gunslinger Golden Gun Bottom Tree, also known as Way of the Sharpshooter, and with this we'll get the Knock 'em Down subclass perk where we get an extra 30% damage buff to our super if cast when the buff is active for more than 20 seconds, and I believe it lasts 30 seconds, so you have plenty of time to get ready to activate the super. Now moving into the armor, and I will mention you can slot these mods into any armor as long as you have the right element. But for the helmet, we're using energy converter, which will give us super energy when using our grenade whilst charge or light, and this needs to be slotted into void armor. But alongside this, we have dynamo to get extra super energy when using our class ability near enemies. For the gauntlets, we have elemental charge to become charge of light when picking up elemental wells, and you can switch this out depending on what you prefer, but for harder activities I felt this was the best option. But with this, we also have our champion mods, and you do have enough to slot in any mods for the activity and weapons of your choice. But for the chest, we're using supercharge for an extra 2 stacks of charge of light, concussive dampener and your ammo reserve mods for your heavy weapon. For the legs, we're running the new Hunter's Star Eater Scales exotic legs, which gives us additional super energy from orbs, and while our super energy is full, we instead buff our super's damage, and the mods we have with this are charged up for the last stack of charge of light, and our ammo scavenger mod. Then finally for the class, we have Overload Wellmaker, where defeating an enemy with a finisher will spawn 2 elemental wells, and because we have elemental charge, we'll get 2 stacks of charge of light, so do 3 finishers and throw a grenade, and you'll have half of your super energy straight away. Definitely the best setup for the Hunter's Golden Gun in Season 14 in my opinion. Now for your stats, I would max out intellect and your discipline for faster grenades, but grenades shouldn't be an issue because picking up 6 of those arc elemental wells should give you ability energy, and I assume after you've just used your grenade you'll want to start to prep for the next super, so you should be getting those wells to spawn again soon. Now overall with this build, I would use this in most activities when playing with a team. This build does work better in casual activities, but you can still use it in master activities like a Nightfall whilst underpowered. However, it will not perform as good and it will be harder to get those stacks up, but it's still a good build to use in all activities including the endgame. But that is all for this new updated Hunter's Golden Gun build for Season 14. Next, you should check out the playlist for all my other builds linked below and give this one a try. Let me know what you think of it, drop that rating and subscribe for more because I have a lot more better builds to come. Thanks for watching and I'll see you shortly in the next one.